Nicola, could you switch off the microphone or go
Yeah.
in another room, because it's really, there are lots of sounds behind.
Okay.
It says always that you're talking and okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so Manuel, could you perhaps just start by giving me a bit of an overview of your business, please?
Okay, we work for Fincons Group, a system integration company based in Italy, but we have also offices in Switzerland, in United Kingdom, in England, and in the United States. We just started to work for a new customer. This customer is looking for a solution to meet his need for project management and timesheet entries. This customer is a kind of public company, big company. They have like 800 about 800 employees. But for now, they are looking this solution for a small part of their company and for the ET, for their information technology projects. They are like 40, they are 40 from 40 to 60 users for this project. And so they are looking for a solution for timesheet and project management. And of course, they want this solution to run on Salesforce.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. We had some meetings with them, and we have some of their requirements. Basically, they need they have the one of the requirements is that they need some different levels of objects where they put hours, times and estimated times, and from the other side, effective time from employees. Like you have in your product, you have some different levels. They need 3 levels, and they want the possibility to put on all these 3 levels estimated hours and estimated hours and effective hours from employees.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, just one moment. I'm receiving a call.
No problem.
Okay, sorry. Pronto? Sì, ciao Luca. No, niente, ti stavo a chiamare per avvisarti di una cosa, vabbè, ma mo sto seguendo la call da casa. Sì, ok. Va bene, dai, ci sentiamo dopo. Ok, ciao. Okay, sorry, Colin, I'm back. Okay.
Sure, no. Carry on, yeah.
Okay, so this is it. I mean,
okay. And is this customer already using Salesforce, or are they looking to use Salesforce?
Yes. And they actually just started, so they're not using it for core businesses. They want to start putting their processes on Salesforce step by step, and they are using right now Salesforce with a product called Remedy Force.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know it? Because they for ticketing and change request, and so in next phase they want to integrate objects of Remedy Force with the solution for project management.
Sure.
And what can I say? What else can I say? So this is it.
Okay, so are you wanting? Do you want me to provide you with a demo now?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll start sharing my screen, and I'm recording
Okay.
this session as well, so I'll be able to provide you with a link to the recording afterwards as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
So just before we jump into the demo, I've just got a few slides just to run through with you, just to give you a bit of an understanding of the capability
Yes.
of mission control. So
Okay.
Mission Control is built natively on the Salesforce platform. So
Yes.
obviously you guys will understand that, but just to be clear, it means the way you can customize any other object in Salesforce, you can do that with Mission Control objects as well. So you can add in your own custom fields, you can build out your own business logic by putting in validation rules, workflow rules, process builders, and so on. You're able to do any of your analysis of mission control data using the standard Salesforce reporting and dashboard engines. You can access mission control via the Salesforce One mobile app. There's no integration required because it is native, and it's a very quick package to get installed. So it literally takes a couple of minutes to install from the App Exchange, and it just works out of the box. So we support both Classic and Lightning. Now, I'm assuming your customer is on Lightning, are they?
Sorry?
I assume your customer is using Lightning Experience?
What I know is they want the future solution to run on Lightning, only on Lightning. So Lightning would be highly preferred.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we obviously do support both Classic and Lightning Experience. So everything,
Yes.
you'll see the demo tonight. Everything works in Lightning.
Yeah.
So over on the right-hand side, so you need a Salesforce license in order to have a mission control license. And we just list here all of the different Salesforce license types that you can add mission control onto. So some of the, I'm just going to build up the key objects that we use in mission control. So I'll come to the project in a moment, but over on the left-hand side, we've got the role record. Now the role is a record for an individual person that is going to be assigned work on a project. Underneath that role, you can build out, you can assign them to various skills, you can assign them to teams, and you can also, you can also keep track of their holidays, whether that's annual leave, sick leave, public holidays, and so on. And those attributes come in handy when when you're trying to find who's the right person to be putting onto this project. You can filter down based on skill set, team membership, look at their holidays and their existing allocations, and make a decision as to who's going to be the right person to allocate to that job. So over on the project, we track obviously the project budget. You can track two lots of financials. You can track the billing rate, so the rate that you're charging the customer to do the work, and the cost rate, the rate that you're paying your staff to do the work for you. So by tracking both of those financials, you're able to track the profit and loss of the project as well. Now, underneath the project, we have our milestone object, and the milestone is a container for a group of related actions. You also have the ability to log expenses. You can keep track of any risks you're concerned about, and you also have the ability to raise invoices on the projects as well. Underneath the milestone, we have our action. Now, the action is an individual task that's going to be assigned to someone. So you can see here, it has an action owner. You have start dates, end dates, and as you said, like the hours scheduled, which is your estimated effort. Underneath the action, you can also pull in what we call contributors. So these are additional people that are going to help the action owner to deliver this work. Checklist items are a set of subtasks that sit underneath the action to perform to build up a to-do list of things that need to be ticked off in order to complete that action. Now, we also have the ability to log time. So the time rolls up to the action. It also rolls all the way up to the milestone and the project. And you have the ability to do a scheduled versus actual comparison. So you can see how many hours you thought it was going to take versus how many hours it actually did take.
Okay.
Now, we also support multi-currency. You're able to enter your tax rates against your projects, so they can be applied to any invoices you're generating. You're able to generate a PDF of that invoice to email out to your customer if you want to, and you can also record the payment back in as well. So, any questions on that before we move on, guys?
No, it's for me it's clear actually.
Okay.
I already started to read all these
Sure. Okay.
things. Okay.
Okay, so some of the key features that we're going to take a look at in the demo today. So we've got what we call the console. So the console gives us quick launch access to all of the key parts of mission control. So it really serves as a gateway through to the rest of the system.
Yeah.
The project overview is a page that gives you 360-degree visibility of one particular project. The whiteboard is a Kanban interface. It displays all of your actions as if they were stuck to a whiteboard in the office, and you can drag and drop those from one column to the next. The scheduler is our resource planning tool. So down the left, we can see all of our resources. Over the page, we can see a timeline, and we can see all of the work that has been assigned to each person. We're also able to take a look at this hours view. And that gives us insight into any hotspot areas where we might have caused some bottlenecks that we might need to address. The Gantt charts are fully interactive. They show you obviously the visualization of the timeline. You're able to do a baseline. You can do a comparison between baseline and actual dates. It's all interactive. You can drag and drop and reschedule, create new records, create dependencies, and you're even able to export that as a PDF, so you could be sharing that timeline with your customer. The timesheet is one of many ways that you can log time against your projects. Now, this loads up for an individual person for a particular week, lists all of the actions that are assigned to that person, and then they can log their time across each day of the week. The PMO dashboard is a high-level page that gives you insight into 2 KPIs. It tells you how your projects are running to budget and how they're running to schedule. And the create actions and the assignment wizard, they come together to provide you with an efficient way of building out the detail of a new project. So you're able to enter all of the details of all of the actions that are required. You can jump into the assignment wizard to determine who's actually going to, based on their team membership and skill set and their real-time capacity, are they capable of being the action owner or a contributor? Okay. And just to finish off, before we jump into the demo, so we offer a 14-day free trial. So obviously you've already got it installed, I believe, but obviously you can install it from the App Exchange. It's really quick to install. Obviously you can put it into production or sandbox, and any support, obviously you can get in touch with us or refer to the website as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So any questions before we carry on?
No, pretty clear this part.
Okay.
I know. I actually know these features that I already showed to the customer, and we like almost everything, I can say.
Okay, so do you want, like, given that you know the product a bit, do you still want to go through end to end on the demo, or
we can still go on. Yes, it's good to see again, maybe from a different point.
Sure. Okay. So what we're looking at here is the console. So this gives us quick launch access to all of the key parts of the system. So I've got these various pads here, so I can go to the launch pad, and this is all about creating new records. So I can create a new project, clone an existing project, add a new role to the system, and so on. If I go through to the progress pad, I'm able to access things like the whiteboard, the timesheet, log expenses. Now, these are all accessible from the navigation menu as well. The management pad gives me access to be able to go through to any of the project overview pages. I can go through to the Gantt chart, the scheduler, or the PMO dashboard. And then the control pad gives me access to a variety of settings within the system. So, for example, I can schedule my digest, I can schedule my action progress tracking. There's various things that you can turn on or turn off from this control pad. Now you can actually control the access that each person has to these pads. So for example, you might want your project managers to have access to these 3 pads, but you don't want them to have access to the control pad. So you can actually control that at an individual role level. So I'm going to go back to the launch pad, and what I'm going to do is actually build out a new project. So I'm just going to click on a new project there, and I'm going to put in that we're going to be building a new website for your company. So I'm putting in a project name. I can also put in a project budget if I know it. I'm going to add in a couple of extra milestones here. So first of all, I'm going to say I'm designing the website, then I'm going to build it, and then I'm going to deliver it. Again, if I want to, I can put in some deadlines. So I could say, well, the design has to be done by next Wednesday, the build has to be done by Friday, and we have to have the whole thing live by the following Wednesday. Again, optional, but I can put in, split that 6,000 across these 3 items here. Okay. So clicking on, so go ahead.
Launch project. Okay. In this phase, can we put times, hours, or days instead of budget?
Not at this stage. I'll show you how. So the times actually all get entered at the action level, which is the level below, and then they roll up to the milestone and action. So I'll show you how that all works in a moment. So if I click on launch project, that's going to go away. It's going to create the project. It's going to create the 3 milestones, and it's going to drop me onto the edit the project page, so I can add in some more details. So I'm just going to click on edit here.
Sure.
So first of all, put in the status. I can add in some details like who's going to be the overall project owner, who are we doing this work for. So I'm linking through to an account record in Salesforce. I'm linking through to the contact at that company, and I can link through to an opportunity that we might have closed one that's needing us to deliver this project.
Okay.
So obviously things like these pick lists, you can maintain your own values in there. So when it comes to the project settings, I can specify my billing type, and I can specify whether it's fixed price or it's time and materials. So in this example, I'm going to say it's fixed price. I've got my budget of $6,000. And I can then set my billing rate and my cost rate. So the billing rate is what I'm charging my customer to do the work. The cost rate is what I'm paying my team to do the work for me. So I've got 3 options here. So I can use a standard rate. So that means regardless of who's doing the work, we're all going to get charged out at the same day rate. Role-based is picking up the hourly rates associated with an individual person. So if Manuel is working on the project, we might charge him out at $200. If Colin's working on the project, we might charge him out at $150. Skill-based is picking up the hourly rates associated with the skill the person is using to deliver a particular action. So for example, if Colin is designing websites, we might charge him out at 150, but if he is delivering training, we might charge him out at 120. So I'm going to keep it simple in this example and just say we all get charged out at the same day rate of $1,200 a day. And over on the costs, I've got the same 3 options. And again, I'm going to keep it simple and say we all get paid $800. So what that shows me is if we do a day's worth of effort, we're going to generate $1,200 revenue. We're going to incur $800 cost. So I know there's a $400 margin on that effort, and therefore that allows me to track the profit and loss of the project as well. So I do also have the ability to specify whether we can charge the client overtime. If we do, what's the ratio we charge them? Do we pay our staff overtime? If we do, what's the ratio we pay them? Now you can also have non-billable projects. So if it's marked as non-billable, we're obviously not going to be tracking any billing rates, but we can still be tracking the cost rates here. Over on the right hand side here, we've got a color. Now the color doesn't have any function other than when we're looking at the actions on the scheduler or on the whiteboard, they'll be displayed in the color that we've set there. When people are logging time against the project, you can have the project manager approve it, and you can also have the individual person's line manager approve it as well. So if either of these boxes are ticked, these people will need to review and approve the time logs before they get accounted for. Now, if we don't want to do that approval process, we just leave them false, and everything just automatically defaults to approved. Now, we also have the ability to generate invoices. So what I can do is put in a purchase order number there. I can link through to a tax rate. and I can specify how I'm going to generate invoices. Now I've got three options: manual, which is obviously self-explanatory. As and when I need to create the invoice, I'll go off and do it myself. Milestone will be when we complete a particular milestone on the project, it can automatically raise an invoice. Or if we're doing a time and materials project, we can set this up to be periodic, and that would raise an invoice on a weekly, fortnightly, or monthly basis. So the example I'll show you will be, we'll set it to milestone, and I'm just going to put in my payment terms there as well. So all of this just gets calculated automatically for me. And further down, I've also got the ability to track my expenses. So of my $6,000 budget, I think 500 of that is going to be on expenses. As the team start logging those and they get approved, they'll come into the actuals there. So if I save that, I've got my project, I've got my 3 milestones. So now what I need to do is build out the detail of the actions. Now the easiest way to do that is on this create actions page. So I'm going to load that up, and it's going to give me one record ready to fill in, but I can add a few more items to the list. So I'm just going to add 5 more in. Now, for my first action, it's going to be part of the design milestone, and it's going to be where I design some wireframes. So I can specify both billable and non-billable effort. So I'm going to say here there's 6 billable hours, and I would like to get that done today. Now, if I know who's going to do the work, I can just select them from the list here. If I'm not sure and I need to go and find someone, I can jump into this resource assignment wizard. So if I do a blanket search, that's going to pull back a list of everyone that I have a role record for in Mission Control. So if I scroll down, you'll see I can see a big long list of people, and I can look at their capacity to take on the work. So looking at myself, I can see that this 6 hours is being allocated to me, and it's putting me over my availability for the day. So what I could do is actually say, well, I know Chris can do this, so I'm going to drag Chris down here, and that will take the hours off me and put them onto Chris. Now, for the sake of the demo, I'm actually going to leave myself as the action owner. But what I'm going to do is pull in some contributors, so people that can help me. Now, before I go and grab anyone, what I'm going to do is just go and search for them up here. So I know I need someone on the consultants team. I need someone who's got this skill, and I need someone who knows how to do this. I can even search based on their skill proficiency as well. So if I do a new search, that's going to reduce the number of people that match that criteria. So now I can see I've got a lot less people. So I can see Andrea's got some time, so I'm going to pull Andrea down here and make her a contributor. So of my 6 hours, I'm going to give her 2. And what I'll do is also grab Olga, and she can do 2 hours as well. So basically those 6 hours are going to be split between the 3 of us. So once I'm happy with that, click on save. And that's that action ready to build to go now. Now I can go one step below the action and build out what we call the checklist items. So this is so as part of designing these wireframes, what I might need to do is design a home page. What I might also need to do is do a content page. And one more, we might need to do a contact us page. So these become those tick box items that we can just check off as and when we've done them. So on to my next action, I'm going to be designing the UI. That's going to be 8 hours of effort, and I'll get that done tomorrow. Now I'm just going to assign that to myself rather than going through that assignment wizard. So I'm just going to quickly finish off these actions. So if you have any questions, feel free to shout them out. So what we're doing here, obviously, is building out a new project as if we've never built a website before. Later on in the demo, I'll show you how I can come back to this project and perform what we call a deep clone. So we're able to make a copy of an existing project. So we can basically use any existing project as a template to create a new project.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to click on create there. So that's going to go away and create all of those actions for me. So that's now the project fully built out. So if I take a look at the Insights tab, first of all, this gives me some real high level information, shows me the overall budget, how many actions have been added onto the project and anything that's been completed. Is there anything overdue? Any risks that we're concerned about, who the owner is, and then some high level KPIs. So if I scroll down, I can see what my overall budget is based on the work that we've allocated. I can see there's we're going to be delivering this within budget. I can see how many hours have been scheduled and what's been remaining. Obviously, there's nothing been completed yet. Then we can see the profit and loss position and the invoices as well. So if I take a look at the overview tab, so a couple of charts at the top there, but I can scroll down and see the 3 milestones. So I've got design, build, and deliver. So if you, just to go back on your hours, so obviously what we've done is we went through and created all of those actions, and we said, this action is going to take 6 hours, this one's going to take 4, the other's going to take 8. So we get a total effort up at the top here on the project. So I can see I've got 34 hours scheduled. We haven't done anything yet, and therefore there's 34 remaining. And then you can see that that gets broken down at the milestone level. So there's 14 hours of effort in the design, 12 hours in the build, and 8 hours in the delivery. So then if I drill into that, I then see my individual actions. So I can see design wireframes, design UI, and then I can see the level of effort that has been allocated to each of those actions. I can see that I'm the owner. I get some end date warnings here, whether it's due today or it's approaching. I know there are additional people helping me on this action, and I'm able to jump into that assignment wizard there as well. If I click into that one step further, I then access the checklist items. So I can see the three checklist items there that I can just tick off as and when I'm doing them. So we're going to, so if we take a quick look at the detail tab, just to give you a bit more insight around the project level information. So if I scroll down, we'll get a summary of all of the hours. So we can see there we've got total hours scheduled of 34. We haven't done anything, therefore all 34 are remaining. And then we also get the financial summary, so we can see obviously how much effort we're expecting it to cost, what sort of profit we're going to be making, and then obviously what the forecast position as well. So we'll come back to these tabs as we go through the demo. What I'm going to do now is actually just show you the Gantt chart. So the Gantt chart, as I say, is fully interactive. It shows us what we're looking at here is our project, our milestones, our actions, and our checklist items. Now I can remove the checklist items if I don't want those, just by clicking on this button there. So then they've now disappeared off the Gantt chart. So the Gantt chart is fully interactive. We're able to pick up and drag and drop individual actions if we need to reschedule them. We're also able to pick up an entire milestone and reschedule the milestone if we need to. And we can also create dependencies. So just by dragging and dropping from one action to the other, I'm able to create those dependent relationships. Now, a couple of benefits of putting those relationships in place. If I now reschedule the parent, you'll see that anything that is related to it automatically reschedules by the same period of time. The other benefit is as soon as the parent action gets marked as complete, the owner of this child action will receive an email notification letting them know that they can work on that action. So we can also extend the duration of things. So I could say, actually, I now know that that's actually going to get done over 2 days. Now we also have, you can see that this has landed this one on a Saturday. Now I've got my system set up to where I don't work. We don't work on weekends. So what we'll do when we save this, it would say actually we don't work on Saturday or Sunday. So the next available day would be the Monday. So it would automatically adjust for like non-working days. So we might also say, actually, that's going to end up taking 3 days. This is going to take 2. And again, the automatic rescheduling would push these out to these days here. Now, taking that one step further, we mentioned earlier that you can also track people's holidays. So it might be that Colin is on holiday on Monday. So what would happen there is it would automatically get rescheduled to the next available working day.
Okay.
Now I can also edit these actions. So if I double click onto this, I can make changes to all of these key fields here. So for example, if I mark that as a high priority item, you'll see that that gets flagged up as red. If I go into this one, mark it as medium, you'll see that that gets flagged up as amber. I'm also able to edit the milestone as well. So I can jump in there and I'll just say here, when I complete this milestone, I want to raise an invoice for $3,000. And I'm just going to put this person as the owner. Now I can also add additional information in. So it might be that I forgot to add in a new action. So I want to quickly add it from here. So just click on that plus sign. So I can say, right, I forgot to add in client approval. It's going to be 1 hour. It's going to be done by me, and I'm going to get that done on Monday.
Okay.
So save that. So that's now added in that extra action there for me. So what I'm going to do at this stage is just save the Gantt chart. So all of those changes will get committed to the project. And what I'm going to show you now is how I can actually view the baseline. So if I toggle this view here, you'll see I get this ghosted version of the original schedule. So I can see my first action stayed on target, but then this, I thought it was going to be done in 1 day, it ended up taking 2, and you can see how obviously that's impacted the deliverability of the rest of the project. So I can come back and do a lessons learned around how well we delivered against how we thought we were going to deliver, and try and take those learnings into future projects. Now we also have the ability to export the Gantt chart as a PDF. So let's say we want to show the timeline to our customer. You can simply click on export, and that allows me to download the Gantt chart as a PDF that I can then email off to my customer. Now this can be fully branded. Obviously, you can put your logo up there. You can put your customer's logo over here as well. So we've been looking at the Gantt chart there as for an individual project. We also have the ability to look at it in context of multiple projects. So if I go to this standalone Gantt chart, you'll see that I can see many different projects on the one Gantt chart. So if I scroll down, we've got lots of different projects. I can come in and control which funds I'm looking at. So I could be looking based on category. I could be looking at all of the projects we've got for a particular customer, everything where I am the owner, for example. What I'm going to do is actually just jump down and add our project in there. So I'll load that one in. So that's now down the bottom added in our Fincons group project. Now everything I showed you earlier, being able to drag and drop and create new and reschedule, all that stuff you can do from here as well. The benefit being I'm looking at multiple projects. Now I'm looking at all of the detail here, but what I can do is collapse that information. So I could say, well, I don't want to see the actions. I just want to see projects and milestones. Click that again. I might just want to see the projects. So I can drill into as much detail as I need to. Okay, so the next thing, so obviously we've got our project in the system, so we're ready to start work on it. Now there's a number of ways of logging progress. So one of those is via the whiteboard. Now the whiteboard is our Kanban interface. It displays all of our actions as individual sticky notes, as if they were stuck to a whiteboard in the office, and we can see their current status value. So I can see planned, in progress, on hold, complete, and I can see there are 69 actions in planned, and there's 340 hours of effort remaining, 20 in progress, and so on. Now what I'm able to do is just pick these actions up and move them from one column to the next. And looking at these, I can see my action number. I can see links to the action, milestone, and project. I've got my start and end dates, hours scheduled, hours completed, and completion percentage. Now the top 4 fields are all static, but you can change these bottom 5 fields to choose what's important to you. So instead of looking at the completion percentage, maybe what I want to do is look at something else. So I can just click on this settings tab here, and then that lets me control which field I'm looking at. So I could say, well, maybe I want to look at priority instead. So I'm going to scroll down, change that. So that's going to go away and update my, it's going to update all of my cards to show me the priority value where it exists. And that's a persistent setting. So every time I come back to the whiteboard now, it will remember that I want to look at that priority. So you can see now where I've got priority values, it's displaying those there. Now, I'm looking at status at the moment, but what I can do is actually choose which of these columns I'm looking at. So I could, for example, organize the columns by priority. So what that will do is remove planned, in progress, on hold, complete. It will give me a new set of columns, one for each priority value. So I'll see high, medium, and low, and then I'll be able to see all of the actions that are assigned to each priority value. Just bear with me. I think GoToMeeting can sometimes slow this down.
Okay.
So now you can see, obviously, I'm looking at high, medium, and low. And again, what I can do is just drag and drop these from one column to the next to update the priority value.
Okay.
Now I can also go and look at action owner, for example. So I can, again, remove high, medium, and low, and I'll get a new set of columns, one for each individual person, and I'll be able to see all of the work that has been assigned to each team member. So I can see here I've got 55 actions. I can see Blake hasn't got a lot there. So maybe what I'll do is actually just grab some of these actions and drag them over to Blake to give him some work to do. I don't have to come to this action owner view though. I can go back to, so for example, if I go back to status, so while that's loading, I'll just draw your attention to the right hand side here. Now you can see I've got a list of all of my my people. So I've got a role record for every single person. I'm able to filter that down, so I can be looking again on skill set and team membership. But what I'm able to do is actually drag and drop people from over here. So I can see here Mick's got this action on hold. So I might go and grab Carey because I know she can do this work, and I'm just going to drag her over there and then drop her onto that that card. And now that's been transferred over to her. So I'm gonna drag that back into in progress.
Okay. So and now this user became the the owner of the record.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now I can also filter this down as well. So I'm looking at everything on all projects at the moment, but if I click on the filter there, so this shows me I've got the ability to filter down on a number of different options here, but what I'm going to do here is just actually go and filter down on our project. So I'll apply that filter. So that's going to remove everything from the board apart from our actions that we've been creating on our project. Now, looking at this in a bit more detail, I can see my end date warning. I've got my 3 checklist items, and I haven't done any of those yet. I know I'm the owner, and I can see that there are people helping me as well. So I'm also able to access the chatter feed. So if I'm wanting to chat with colleagues, collaborate around what's going on in this action, I can do that here. I'm able to access the checklist items, so I can come along and tick those off as and when we've done them. I'm able to edit the action, so if I need to make changes, I can do that. I can access the assignment wizard there as well. Now I'm also able to log time from the whiteboard. So just by clicking on that clock, I've got 2 options of logging time. I can come along, click start, go away and do my work, come back and click stop, or I can actually log time as if I've already done it. And that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to say I've started work on initial designs and I've just done 2 hours work. So log that time. So that's going to go away. It's going to create the time entry, and it's automatically moved the action into in progress for me as well. So any questions on the whiteboard before we move on?
No. Okay, we can go.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at the timesheet next. So the timesheet loads up for an individual person for a particular week, and it lists everything that has been assigned for them to be working on this week. So for each action, I can see the project, the milestone, the action. I can see hours, like billable and non-billable hours that are scheduled, completed, and remaining. And then I can see all of the hours that we've already logged for each day. So if I scroll down, we'll find our Fincons group project. There's the design wireframes, and here are the 2 hours that we've just logged from the whiteboard. Now, if I want to remind myself what I've done during that time, I can just click on that information icon, and that shows me this little pop-up where I can see the notes of what was done. So what I'm able to do from here is actually say, well, I've just done another 3 hours work, so I'm going to change that from 2 to 5. I'm going to double click in there, and I'm going to say I finalize designs and sent to client for approval. Now, while I'm here, I can say, actually, I've just done, I did 2 hours here, and I've done 1 hour there. So as I'm doing that, you can say I get a total for each day, I get a total for my week, and then once I'm happy with that, I can click on save, and then that will go away. And sorry, actually just remembered I've got a project in there that I was messing about with earlier. So let me just take that one out. I think that might be it. Okay, let me just come back to that because I adjusted a project earlier and it's throwing a validation rule at me. So I will just go along and say finalize designs. And then I'll also just come in, put some hours here. Just bear with me a second, guys, because it's actually a project that I just need to fix up because it keeps.
Okay.
Just going to go to NGP. Okay. Okay, so just get confirmation that that's all been saved. Now, what I can also do is actually log my time by doing that start-stop feature here. So I could come along and say, right, I'm just about to jump on a call with the customer, so I'm going to click on play. That now turns to a stop button, so I can go away, have the call, come back and click stop. Now, anywhere in Salesforce, I can also have access to this utility bar here as well. So for example, I could be off on the opportunities and I could be needing to log some time on my project. So I'm just going to come into the log time component here, select the project, select the milestone, the action, and then log my time here. So I've also got that same component available to me via Salesforce One as well. So while we're on the timesheet, I know I had an email from Luca the other night talking about will the timesheet be coming into Lightning? So yes, it will, and that's actually the next major release that we've got, which is coming out in Q1 next year. So I'm just gonna drag on some wireframes just to show you what this is actually going to look like. So this is going to be the new Lightning-based timesheet. So you can see what I've actually got is 3 different tabs across the top. So my core timesheet is going to be very similar to what we're looking at here. So I can see my project, my milestone, my action, few additional features. I'm going to be able to access the checklist items. I'm going to be able to access the chatter feed. I can obviously do the start, stop, or I can be putting in my time here. Now, a new feature that's coming to this that you can't do at the moment is actually editing existing records. So for example, if I've made a mistake and put it into the billable instead of non-billable, what I can actually do is just jump in and click on edit here to make the changes. Now, if I click on my calendar converter, that's going to take me to this view here. Now, this is what this is going to actually do is show you all of your Salesforce event records. So, for example, if you're actually if you're syncing your, let's say you're syncing your Outlook or your Gmail calendar through to Salesforce, so you've got a bunch of events on your Salesforce calendar, you can view them on this calendar converter. And what that will actually do is let you quickly see these and say, right, well, this is definitely some project time. So I'm going to click on that clock, and then I'm actually going to come along and just convert that to a time log on a project. So once it's converted, it will actually display in the color of the project. The third option is the approvals. So if you're approving people's time logs, you'll be able to come here and see, right, I've got these 3 people I need to approve time for. If I click onto Chris, it's going to populate this section with all of the time logs that I need to approve for him. So I can see the project, the milestone, the action. These are the various time entries, and these are obviously his notes, and then I can quickly approve all of them or reject them if I need to.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Everything is. I say everything is clear. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
I will have some questions if I can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Allora, first question about timesheet. How much is it hard coded? I mean, can we, for example, take away from timesheet billable hours and leave only in timesheet non-billable hours? I mean, only one kind of hours.
Not on this one. So you can't actually you can't change anything on this. If I just pull on the the new one, so I'll just zoom in a bit. So you can see here. So you're never going to be able to hide the billable row. Sorry, you're never going to be able to hide the non-billable row, because even on a billable action, you might still find that you have some non-billable work to log. But where you've specifically said that an action is non-billable, you are actually going to be able to tick this box, and it will actually remove the billable row if it's definitely a non-billable action. So you've got a bit more, you've got a bit more flexibility coming around that.
Okay, because the customer right now needs only to put hours, doesn't need to put hours against, doesn't need the customer the possibility to distinguish between billable and not billable, doesn't have yet this level of complexity.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that they would, like we've obviously, like we get various customers using it to various degrees, so they will find that they just, that, you know, obviously they know that they're just entering on the top line for the billable work.
Okay. Second question about the approval process.
Yeah.
Is it are we talking about the Salesforce approval process, or it's
No, it's not. It's not a Salesforce approval process, and the reason being, we support Professional Edition as well, and approval processes don't exist there. So how it works is ultimately there are just 2 pick list fields on the time logs. So if I go to a time log and show you, so if I jump in, oh, that was a bad example, I think. So if I go into a time log, you'll see that. So obviously, I haven't required approval of either person here, so they just automatically default to approved. Now, if I do require approval, the people will be specified there who needs to approve it. This will say obviously it's required, and therefore this will say it's pending. So then as soon as these people come in and review and approve this overall status will get marked as approved.
okay. So where do we decide? Sorry, I didn't understand. Where we do decide the approval, or we structure the approval. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So so there's two people that can approve time. So if I go back to my project, so I'm specified here as the project owner on the project. So if I scroll down, and tick this box, that means that I need to approve people's time before it gets accounted for on the project. Now, you can also have the
Okay.
individual person's line manager as well. So if I tick this box, what it means is on the individual person's role record. So if I go to my role record, you'll see that my timesheet approver is Mick. So basically, if that field is ticked on the project, then this person will need to review and approve the time on my behalf.
Okay. Then this goes directly to the third question about we action or the owner of the not the action of the action owner. Yes. Um, we actually for our customer, the owner of the action will be not the person who will execute the action, but the owner of the project, the manager of the project.
Okay.
Is it how is it? This is not clear for me. Is it possible to do this? I mean, the owner is the manager of the project, the responsible of the project, and
Yeah.
the action must be executed by people who under his responsibility.
Yeah, okay. So if I just pick on, I think everything on that project at the moment is actually owned by me. Um, so if we just drill into these, you can see, so all of these actions are owned by me, and I am the project owner as well. However, what we can do is actually we can assign different people to be owning these actions. So, for example, if I jump in and into the assignment wizard there, I could be saying, well, it's not going to be me. It's going to be, and Andrea's going to do this action instead. So I'm going to drag Andrea down there, click on save, and then that's transferred that action over to her. So it doesn't. It's just she's the action owner for this one item on the project. I'm still the
Okay.
project owner. Does that answer your question?
Mm, um, I mean, if the action owner is now another user, can I put register hours on this activity?
Yeah. So yeah. So even though I don't own this action, I could actually still come along and log time against it. Yeah.
Okay, okay, and I have visibility of this project and activity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Then the third questions that Luca wrote you about. The fourth question, sorry, that Luca wrote you about also is uh, is there a possibility to put hours not only on activities but on some other object, for example, in this case, projects and milestones?
No, I think I did answer that on the email. So basically, the time log. So if I just go and grab my PowerPoint, so if I just grab this slide and show you here. So
Okay,
so basically, the hierarchy is obviously you've got your project, you've got your milestone, you've got your action, and then you've got your time
yeah,
log. So the time log is a child in a master detail to the action. So that means in
okay,
order to create a time log, you have to relate it to an action. But at the same time, so the action is a child in a master detail to the milestone, and then the milestone is a child in a master detail to the project. So what that means is
yeah,
that the time gets logged here against an action, but it rolls all the way up to these levels. So every single level you can see how many hours have been logged and what's left to do, but the time must be logged against an action.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we will, yes, it's how we suppose. Not a problem for us, but directly, but okay. But we have to talk to say the tell the customer about it.
Okay, so
And they
can
say,
you talk
okay.
through? So they've got a requirement where they want to be able to log
Yeah,
time at the project as opposed to an action.
yeah, they have this. They right now they have this structure, and they prefer to maintain this structure. They have three levels, and about for the importance of their activity, they they divide each of this level in sub under levels. Well, this is how they do. But okay, we actually this is the main issue that we need to solve and think about with the customer, of course.
Yeah. So
Okay.
what sort of time are they logging against the project that isn't necessarily going against an individual action?
So, sorry, could you repeat the
Yeah.
question?
So in what sort of situation are they logging time against the project that isn't
Mm,
actually tied to a specific action?
okay. They have some project diciamo, simplified projects, and they when they create the project, they want to put estimated hours
Hmm.
when they insert and create this project right on the project, and then we need they want to give to their user possibility to put hours on this project. When projects are more complex, under this project they have the main project. Under this project they have two small projects, and they want to put on each of these small projects again estimated hours and give the users possibility to log time against this small project. And then it goes to the another this with the same functionality to another level. Then if the second level of project is still complex, they is divide it in some other smaller projects and putting again estimated hours or days and timesheet entries on this smaller project. They are actually doing like this right now, and they are actually putting hours estimated or logged by user on the lowest level. So
Yeah.
they create like a tree of project depending on the complexity,
Mm.
and the more complex the project is, the more they divide it in smaller pieces, and
Yeah.
they always want possibility to estimate hours and put time on the lowest level. So in this case, so that the higher level summarize the hours and estimated and the percent of completion and the hours that the users put in their timesheet.
Yeah.
I,
I think.
I hope it's clear because
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean,
it's
it might be it might help if you can send over some examples of how they're doing it, then I could potentially look at it. But I mean, to answer the question, ultimately, like the time has to go against an action. Now, obviously, you can have a really simple project that literally just has you know, it might have one project, one milestone, and one action, and you're just logging all of your time against this. You're not breaking it down into all of this level of detail, but ultimately the time has to be logged against an action in our system.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, was it a question? I was just writing and I didn't pay much attention. Sorry.
Sorry, that's okay. I didn't quite understand what you said there.
No, last thing you said, you told me.
Oh, I was basically just saying, like, you know, you can actually have you can have a very basic project. So you could have like a project with one milestone and one action. You don't have to go
Yeah,
into all of this detail, but
yeah.
ultimately time has to be logged against an action. It can't be
Okay,
logged at a milestone or a project level.
okay, okay. Okay, so tomorrow we'll have a meeting with the customer tomorrow
Mhm.
morning, and we will discuss about it.
Okay,
Okay. So,
sure.
I thank you, Colin, and we keep in touch and for anything else, and we'll you will hear from us
Yeah.
in
Okay.
case. Okay.
Okay. No worries.
Okay. So thank you, and have a nice evening.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.